Name of the chapter is ammonia today. Okay. One suggestion: if you haven't gone through the questions from the HCl chapters, please go through. At least 10 years question paper you go through. And if possible, go for more clear. You find any question which you have not understood, the answer of which you do not know, you can ask me later. Maybe tomorrow or some other day also you can ask me. It won't take much time. So I'll just solve those questions and then continue with this. Anyways, our today's topic is ammonia. NH3, notes I have already said. First of all, you should know ammonia is also called alkaline air, or why it is called alkaline air? Because it is basic in nature. This gas is basic in nature. Two things ammonia differ from the other gases in two respects. Number one, it is alkaline gas, and the other gases which you have in syllabus, they all are acidic. Secondly, this gas is lighter than air, remember it. Other all gases which you have in syllabus, ICC syllabus, they all are denser than air. All the time the gases will be going down and the air will be displaced in the upward direction. So we call it upward displacement of air. That means other gases are collected by the upward displacement of air, whereas ammonia gas is collected by the downward displacement of air. Because the ammonia will be climbing up and the gas will go down. That means for the preparation of ammonia, you will see the gas jar position will be shown always like this. The gas jar will be like this with a stand they will show. I will not draw the exact diagram right now, but just have a look at it. This is the stand supporting the jar, and the ammonia will be climbing up like this, whereas the air will be going down. Air will be going down, downward displacement of air. Whenever you see the position of gas jar like this, that means the gas is surely an ammonia gas, and there is no other gas which we have in syllabus that is prepared by this method. In other time, we will be using the gas jar like this. On the floor, on the table will like this. The gas will be going down. The tube will be like this. Gas will go down. Air will be going up. Except for ammonia. Ammonia will be connected in this manner. So remember it. So first point we have written already there in the notes, that ammonia is also known as alkaline air, which means basic gas. Okay. Second point, ammonia occurs in the nature. The ammonia gas we find in the nature free. How? Ammonia has got a very strong pungent smell, nose piercing smell. Pungent smell it has. Sometimes like we get the smell from dead animals, dead bodies, that stinking smell. That smell is nothing but of ammonia. Very sharp smell, very nose piercing smell. That is ammonia. Sometimes in the urinal, we get very stinky, very sharp smell in the urinal. From the urine it comes out. Particularly the urine which is not cleaned and all, so from there we get stinking smells. So that is which gas smell we get? We get the ammonia gas smell. Every ammonium salt, when you rub with the finger, when you rub it like this and try to get the smell, you will get the smell of ammonia. There is pungent smell. So there are two sources of ammonia in the nature. Number one is nitrogenous organic compounds. In our body, we have proteins, we have got cells. They are generally nitrogen organic compound, nitrogen and carbon compound. When this compound is attacked by bacteria, ammonia gas is directly released. And the name of that bacteria is ammonifying bacteria and purifying bacteria. There are two bacteria responsible for the release of ammonia. Though not that important, this part is not very important, but just to keep in mind. Ammonia is also released by the destructive distillation of wood tar. Wood tar is, what is the meaning of destructive distillation? We have to heat in the absence of air. That is called destructive distillation. We will be collecting some woods, wet, not the dry woods. Collect them together and heat it in a closed container so that the smoke does not escape. When you heat, then you will find that the entire wood changes into black liquid. That black liquid is called coal tar. C-O-L, coal. coal tar. In common language we call it alcatra, pitch with which we make the road. Road is made by alcatra. No? So when we do the distillation of wood, we get coal tar, and from the coal tar ammonia gas is released. That's why every alcatra gives a smell of ammonia. Whenever they construct a road, they make a road and all, they carpet the roads, over there you will get a smell. When they be heating that coal tar, this alcatra, when they heat in a drum and all, they heat, you always get a smell, and that smell is nothing but that of ammonia gas. So question may come, mention one source of ammonia in the nature. Then we say nitrogenous organic compound, or we can say destructive distillation of wood tar. Wood tar. Though I have just given you the information, but not that important. Now, lab preparations. How do we prepare ammonia gas in the lab? Lab preparation. Laboratory method. Okay. Laboratory method for the preparation of ammonia, and the method says any ammonium salt. Ammonium salt, when we heat with an alkali, when we heat, we get salt plus H2O plus ammonia gas. This is a general method. That means we can take anything with ammonium, that is NH4. Then we can take NH4Cl, we can take ammonium sulfate, ammonium carbonate, ammonium sulfide, ammonium bicarbonate, ammonium phosphate. Anything with ammonium we can take here, and we have to take alkali. What are the examples of alkali? Like hydroxides. Soluble hydroxides are called alkali. So I will just give the example of alkali. Alkali is example of NaOH, KOH, and CaOH whole 2. These are alkalis. They are soluble in water. Sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxides are called caustic alkalis. Caustic alkalis are lighter than water. They all will float on water. They are lighter than water. This is called caustic soda, and this is called caustic potash. These two alkalis are deliquescent in nature. Deliquescent. Please have an idea. Though the detail I will give in the chapter acid, base and salt, but I will keep on informing again and again so that at least at the end you remember it. So these two are deliquescent alkali. What is the meaning of deliquescent? The substance which on exposure to air absorbs moisture and dissolves in the same to change into liquid. Anything which is solid, but when we expose to air, slowly it is changing into liquid. This phenomenon is called deliquescence, and the substance which changes into liquid is called deliquescent substance. So NaOH, KOH are deliquescent in nature, whereas calcium hydroxide is non-deliquescent. This is called slaked lime. This is yellowish white, solid, yellowish white solid. So this one is not deliquescent. That means this one is not going to change into liquid. Even we expose it to the atmosphere for longer time. Also, we expose it is not going to change into an alkali. Okay. Now the reaction I have written already here. If I write ammonium chloride here plus alkali, I should choose this one, non-deliquescent alkali. And I have to heat, then I will get the answer coming like this. Ca will combine with this Cl. So I will write like this CaCl2, then plus H2O plus ammonia. We get this. Now we will be balancing it. You will put 2 because Cl2 are written here. Then 2 for the 8 to the 10. You have 2n is coming here, 2n. So you have to put 2 over here and you have to put 2. It's all balanced. This is slaked lime. This is called sal ammoniac. The common name is sal ammoniac. Why we prefer ammonium chloride for the preparation of ammonia? Because it is cheap and easily available among the ammonium salt. Why we prefer calcium hydroxide or slaked lime as an alkali? Because it is non-deliquescent. It is non-deliquescent in nature. It is not going to change into liquid. We can use NaOH, KOH provided that they are freshly prepared and we are using it. If you freshly prepare and use them, so there is no problem of you are not exposing them for longer time to the atmosphere, then we can use it over here for this reaction. Okay, similarly, if I write something else, or if I write ammonium sulfate instead of this ammonium sulfate plus calcium hydroxide, if I use, what answer am I supposed to get now? This time the answer will come, Ca will combine with this. So I will be getting the answer CaSO4 plus H2O plus NH3. Now balance NH2 is there, so we put 2, then 4 to the 8 plus 2 10, and if we put 2 here. So that is it. Is this reaction possible or not possible? Think about it. Here the salt is calcium sulfate, but we will not bother because we are not using dilute acid. Remember it. We are not using any. In case of dilute acid, only the insoluble salt should not be there. So don't get confused. So this reaction is possible, very very possible. Similarly, if I take NH4 here and plus NaOH, what answer do you expect to get? You see alkali, you see ammonium thing. Reaction will give salt, water, and ammonia. What answer do you expect now? Na will combine with this, will give you NaCl plus H2O plus NH3. Yes. This reaction is balanced. Is this reaction possible? Answer is yes, it is possible, provided that the NaOH is freshly prepared and is being used. And the acid is not, we are not using acid only, so there is no question of dilute or concentrate, we are not using acid at all. We can use NaOH provided that it is fresh. It has not been exposed to the atmosphere and it is not in the liquid form. So we can use this reaction. This reaction is also possible. Similarly, if you have got anything else, suppose I will be adding NH4 ammonium carbonate plus NaOH. What answer do you expect to get? This is coming under general reactions. What answer do you expect? You expect the answer to come sodium carbonate plus H2O plus NH3. So those reactions are possible. But our preferred reaction is this one which I have written the first one. Okay. Now another thing important to be noted is this one. Ammonium nitrate. If I get ammonium nitrate plus say NaOH, any alkali, because alkali will give alkaline gas, that is ammonia, and if you use acid, you get acidic gas, that is HCl. Okay. What answer do you expect? Out here, what answer can we expect? You can share with me. Na, sodium nitrate, good. Tell me. Plus H2O plus NH3. Yes, good. NaNO3 plus H2O plus NH3, ammonia gas, as simple as that. Because this is the salt with ammonium and this is alkali. Any ammonium salt with alkali will give salt, water, and NH3. Yes? You are not hearing what? This. No, okay, we are eating here. Eating is there. Every time we eat, because the rule says eating, so eating is there, okay. We are eating it. Okay, no. Then is this reaction okay? It looks okay, very much okay. But we don't use this reaction. We can use any ammonium salt except ammonium nitrate. There is a reason behind. There are two reasons behind. Why not to use ammonium nitrate? Why we should not use ammonium nitrate? For the lack preparation of ammonia. First reason is, it is explosive. Because most of the terrorists and all, we are using ammonium nitrate and they are packing in cylinder and it's causing explosion. In train and all, they are bombing using this one, ammonium nitrate. It's very expensive and it is not easily available. You need to have a license to buy this. It is not available, ammonium nitrate. First reason, it is explosive in nature, and the second reason is more important than the first one. The reason is that this is the kind of what? Nitrate. all nitrates have two properties in common. First property that they are all soluble in water without fail. And the second property common is that they all are unstable to heat. When we heat ammonia, when we are going to heat, it itself decomposes, it breaks down to give nitrous oxide and steam. It never gives ammonia. Later on I will give the reaction of this one in the chapter nitric acid. When ammonium nitrate, the reaction goes on like this. When ammonium nitrate is heated, it will give N2O plus H2O steam. Remember this reaction. This reaction will come in the next chapter. There I will dictate and give it to you, but just to have a knowledge about it. Ammonium nitrate gets heated, it never gives ammonia. Why? Because it itself decomposes. Before taking part in the reaction, it decomposes itself to give nitrous oxide and steam. So it never gives ammonia. That's why ammonium nitrate cannot be used for the preparation of ammonia. Here, any queries, any questions, any doubts you have in mind, so please clarify. Okay, you understood what I said. There are two reasons why ammonium nitrate cannot be used for the preparation of ammonia. What are the two reasons? Explosive, very good. And second reason is? No. Yeah, it is unstable to heat, and on heating it decomposes to give nitrous oxide and H2O. We should give, the chemical reason why we cannot use it. Don't say it's expensive, don't say explosive is there, but if you use it in small quantities, so it may not cause explosion if you are using a small quantity. So, but yet we cannot use this one because it is unstable to heat. When you heat, this itself will decompose to give this. It will never give ammonia. Before taking part in the reaction, it will decompose and give you nitrous oxide and steam, so it never gives ammonia. So remember it. Hope it is clear. This question has come many times in ICC. When you see the questions at the background, you will find this question is there. I think year before last, this question had come. Why ammonium nitrate cannot be used? So I will be teaching the entire thing of the syllabus, but you got to know and you have to go through it every day. Then you will remember. Okay. Now, another thing I am going to tell you is this reaction. In what ratio are the reactants taken? Reactants, these two. Yeah, in the equation when you see, it looks like 2 and here it looks like 1. 2 parts and 1 part. It's looking like that. But we have to know that we take them in the ratio 2:3 by weight wise. 2 kg of this and 3 kg of this will mix. And by the way, ammonia gas is the only gas that is prepared by the reactants, which both of them are solids. Both the reactants are solid. As you come. Ammonia is the only gas which are prepared by the reactants in which both of them are solids. They are solid reactants, remember it. We are not using any liquid. When we prepared HCl gas, there was one solid, that was NaCl, white crystalline solid, and there was a liquid over there, that was sulfuric acid. One solid, one liquid we had. At that time also you will find one solid, one liquid, one solid, one liquid. But here, both the reactants are solid. Even question of name a gas that can be prepared by 2 solid reactants, 2 solids. Then answer is ammonia. And what are the 2 probable solids? One is this, another one is this. Now back to the question, in what ratio are they taken? They are taken in the ratio 2:3 by weight. Why we take this one in a higher ratio, in a higher amount, higher quantity? The reason is that ammonium chloride, though it is cheap and easily available, but it sublimes on heating. It is a sublimable compound. It sublimes on heating. When you heat, we are supplying it, it will sublime, then it will change to vapor. But when we take in a greater ratio, higher ratio, this will not allow the vapor of NH4 to rise up. So it will it make the vapor heavier. No, heavy things cannot rise. That is the idea. One simple example. Suppose if there is a smoke rising somewhere. Normally, what do? We can put sands. We can put some dust and all over it. The smoke subsides. The smoke does not rise. And the reason is because we are making the smokes denser or heavier than air. If the thing becomes heavier than air, it will not rise. It will subside. It will remain in the ground only, lower level only. It will not rise. That is for sure. Why smokes are rising? Because they have become lighter than air. That's why they are rising now. As simple as that. Sometimes you can put even water. Water also will make the smokes dense. So the smoke will be subsiding. But the problem with the water cannot go throughout the smoke, so it cannot cover a larger area. But if you are having a smoke, water in the form of spray or showers, then you can subside. So we take this in a higher ratio because the higher ratio of this prevents the sublimation effect of ammonium chloride. Sublimation effect. Otherwise, NH4Cl vapor also will come out together with ammonia. So very difficult to separate it later on. Okay. So that is the reason behind. Okay. Now next one. In the preparation of ammonia, we have water also formed. Water vapor also formed. So we have to make a special arrangement with the apparatus. The apparatus will be somewhat like this. The neck of the flask for the preparation of ammonia is inclined downwards. And here we will have drying agent. There is a drying agent over here. No, you have to keep in mind, better you draw, that will be better because exam time this will come, so you remember it. Wait, you have to wait, then only the things will come. We are in a flask, we are taking reactants. Both of them are no liquid shown out here, no dotted, no liquid side is here. That means both of them are solids. We are heating. So ammonia gas is formed and it is tilted, the neck of the flask is tilted downward. The reason is because the water vapor formed in this reaction after condensation do not trickle back to the hot flask and crack it. Whatever vapors will be formed, they all will be sliding down through the tube, to the neck of the flask. They all will be sliding down and going to this one. This is a drying agent. This is drying agent used. If you keep the flask like this, just have a look. If you keep the flask this way, like this, if you keep the flask over here, there is how the reactor step in. Whatever this is called Bourret stopper. The water vapor will be hitting the Bourret stopper and it will change into water drop. That water drop will be falling down on the hot flask and will cause the flask to crack. Suddenly the hot flask is receiving cold water because after some time the vapor will condense. That water drop will be falling onto the hot flask and will crack it. So this prevents the trickling back of the water vapor to the hot flask and cracking it. So why the neck of the flask is inclined downwards? The reason I told you already. And that happens in the preparation of ammonia. Remember it. Okay, now the drying agent for ammonia is, as I told you before also, it is quicklime calcium oxide. This is also quicklime. This is also solid. Both the reactants are solid and this is also solid. It is not liquid, it is not concentrated sulfuric acid. Because concentrated sulfuric acid reacts with the ammonia. Ammonia is basic and acid reaction takes place forming salt and water. So we cannot use sulfuric acid for this reaction. And now here we see the arrangement, this arrangement tells us this is the ammonia gas. I hope you understood. Now how to check whether the jar is full of ammonia, how to check? So checking will do. You can take a glass block, dip in concentrated HCl and bring it near the mouth of the jar. And if you see dense white fume, that means the jar is full. When you are breathing here and nothing, no fume is formed, that means ammonia the jar is not full of ammonia. If the jar is full, the ammonia will be from here, it will start collecting down, like this, then it will come down here. When the jar is full, the ammonia will be seen even over here. So that also the question may come. And ammonia is the only case where we are using the drying agent which is solid, which is not liquid. So remember it. This is all about the lead preparation. These are the information you must know, you must have with you for the lead preparation of ammonia. Hope it is clear. If you have doubts, you can unmute and ask me. Okay, now there is second method also of preparation of ammonia, and the second method is from the natal nitrides we can make ammonia gas. Or the reactions I write over here: natal nitrides plus warm water will give metal hydroxide plus ammonia plus NH3. What are the example of metal nitrides? We can take only these metals only. We can't take any other metal. We can take Mg, we can take calcium, and we can take aluminum. Only these three metals are allowed. Other metals, nitrides are not allowed. Only these metal nitrides can be taken for the reactions. And these two are bivalent, and this one is trivalent metal. Bivalent is having valency 2. And trivalent means having valency 3. Ammonium's valency is 3, whereas magnesium and calcium valency is 2. Name two bivalent metals whose nitride can liberate ammonia. The answer is Mg and Cl. Name a trivalent metal whose nitride can give ammonia. The answer is aluminum. So you need to be careful. So magnesium nitride formula is Mgn, but nitrogen valency is 3 will come here, this 2 will come here. Mg3 will be right. Warm water is H2O. Condition is important, the water has to be warm. Either of them, normally this is cold, then this is warm. The reaction will be giving magnesium hydroxide plus ammonia. And the balancing number is also very important here. This time in case of magnesium or calcium, the balancing number is 6. You have to know that. Then only you will be able to balance it. Mg3 is here, so you put 3. N is 2, you have to put 2. Now it is all balanced. This number 6 is quite important number, key number. You have to know, practice and know this better. Another reaction goes with aluminum nitride, Al plus H2O. Aluminum nitride formula is ALN. Because nitrogen is 3, aluminum also 3. 3 cancels, and formula becomes ALN, aluminum nitride. Plus H2O, this is also warm, will give answer of ALOH whole 3 plus ammonia. Here we put the balancing number 3. Aluminum valency is 3, so you put 3, then only you will be able to balance. Rest of the things are balanced itself. You can check also. So these two reactions are also very important. One, the magnesium reaction and calcium reaction will go the similar way. Mg can replace by Ca, that's Ca3N2, then answer will become CaOH whole 2 plus Na3. Rest balancing number also remains the same. Only Mg is replaced by Ca, rest of the thing is same. So that's why I will not write for calcium, very similar. Okay. Now, I'll just give one example, fireworks. Fireworks is like rockets, sparklers, this kind of thing, anar. Fireworks sometimes we do in the wedding parties and all, Diwali time we do that. So they also give a smell of ammonia. And after some time we feel suffocating, pungent smell. If there are too much fireworks done, we get a smell of ammonia. You know the reason why we get a smell of ammonia? Sometimes what happens, even we don't see any fireworks, but when we cross the area, if it has been done over there, we come to know that there has been a firework done over there in that area. We get a smell of ammonia. Okay, I'll tell you about that. So, gunpowder, that is called gunpowder. Okay. So, when we make any fireworks, firecrackers or whatever, those kind of articles, fireworks, when you manufacture, the company manufacture, they add magnesium over there. Magnesium powder is added. What is the role of magnesium powder over there? Magnesium burns with a dazzling white light, remember it. And aluminium powder burns with even the brighter white light. In case of photographic camera, have you ever seen the photographic cameras flashing? What kind of light comes out from the flash? I think it is dazzling white light, like very brilliant white light, brilliant. Very, sharp white light comes out. You can't stand that light. That is due to aluminium powder. And in fireworks also, when you do that anard or when you burst, then when you put them on fire, so they also produce dazzling white light. White light you get. That is because magnesium is burning. Actually, reaction takes place. Magnesium burns in nitrogen. Nitrogen comes from the air, and it will form magnesium nitride. Magnesium nitride, Mg3N2 it makes, Mg3N2. Actual reaction is this. This reaction not important, that's why I did not give. But this reaction results in the formation of magnesium nitride, which is white, silvery white ash, silvery white ash. I think whenever firework is performed anywhere, then you get that white ash over there. What is that ash actually? That ash is nothing but magnesium nitride. The ash is silvery white ash is magnesium nitride. Since the ash is already hot, so if you add warm water, you may not have to add because the moisture will be present in the air. Even mists and all will be present on the field where you are performing this. So it reacts and forms ammonia, and we get a smell of ammonia. Question may come, when magnesium powder is burned in air, it forms silvery white ash. What is the name of the ash? It's a magnesium nitride. When we add warm water to it, name the gas form. What is the name of the gas? The name of the gas is ammonia. So exact reaction actually takes place like this. Even aluminium nitride, when you burn aluminium metal there in the presence of nitrogen, it will also give ash only, the same kind of color of ash. And when you add warm water, it will give ammonia. So reaction are written. So one of these reactions comes every year. So there are limited reactions and it's going to come in exams. So remember it. Though this method requires, are we heating over here? No, we are just adding warm water, no heating done. And we are getting ammonia gas. Although this method requires no heating, but it is seldom used in the laboratory. Why it is seldom used in the lab? Because metal nitrides are expensive. So we don't prefer this reaction normally. Hope you understood. Any other queries, any other question we have can clarify? So this reaction, there are two lab methods, but the second method is seldom used, sometimes only it is used, as the metal nitrides are expensive. Hope you understood. Now the next part of the chapter is manufacture of ammonia by Haber's process. Okay. You have three processes in your syllabus. I am just informing you now. There are three processes which you have in ICC syllabus. One is Haber's process for ammonia. Second process will come in the chapter nitric acid. That is called Ostwald's process. OSTWALDS. Ostwald's process to manufacture nitric acid. And one more process will come in the sulfuric acid chapter. That is called contact process. Contact process for the manufacture of sulfuric acid. These processes, you will get all the three process questions. 2-3 questions will come from each, and it will carry minimum 10 marks in ICC. So you need to concentrate quite well on this topic. Okay, what is the difference between the preparation and manufacture? Manufacture is done on a large scale and preparation for a small scale, just for the purpose of experiments. This time we are manufacturing ammonia on a large scale, on industrial scale. And many industries, they need ammonia gas. Particularly which kind of industries need ammonia gas? Ice cream factories, refrigerator factories, refrigeration industries, where we need cooling agent, air conditioning industries, then refrigeration industries, ice plants, ice factories and all, they all require ammonia gas. So from the ammonia factory, ammonia gas plant, the gas is directly sent to those, through the pipes, they are sent to those industries directly. And it is quite a profitable business. So we have many plants where ammonia gas is prepared. So remember it. Manufacture is done by this method, Haber's process method. Yes? Dry ice. Dry ice is solid carbon dioxide. It doesn't come into this. To make dry ice, we need ammonia. To cool carbon dioxide and change into solid, we need ammonia. Refrigerant, coolant. Yeah. It will be cooling reducing the temperature and then change into solid ice. Even nowadays, there is a talk about this one, COVID vaccine. Have you heard about this corona vaccine? Now will be given from tomorrow onwards in India. I think there was a dry run yesterday. Yesterday they started the mock drill. From tomorrow, I think they are going to inject. They are going to give the vaccines. Even all over India together. In Calcutta also, many places they will receive vaccines. But those vaccines are to be stored in a cool place, very low temperature place, and they are using ammonia gas over there. Like refrigeration industry, they are supplying cooling unit. All cooling unit they are using ammonia gas. So it becomes quite relevant now. Anyway, reaction of Haber process is simple. It goes like this. It will give 2NH3 plus heat, and then the reaction is reversible. We are reversing the arrow there. And above the arrow, you must have seen I have written iron, and then under bracket I write MO, molybdenum, and below the arrow I will write 450 to 500 degrees Celsius and 200 to 900 atm atmospheres. Name the input, mixture of Haber's process, input. Input means this one, these two. The answer is nitrogen and hydrogen. Pure nitrogen and pure hydrogen. Okay. Or what are the reactants of Haber's process? Nitrogen and hydrogen. In what ratio are they mixed? We say they are mixed in the ratio 1:3 by volume, volume wise. Because they are gases, we put them together in terms of volume. 1 liter of this and 3 liters of this we mix together. Okay. Now the question is, why do we have a higher ratio of hydrogen, higher ratio? The reason is, this is what kind of reaction? Reversible. This is giving ammonia, that is called forward reaction. And backward reaction will break it down and give these two back. That is called backward reaction. If we have to get ammonia, we have to go for forward reaction. We say a higher ratio of hydrogen favors the forward reaction and result in the production of ammonia. That is why we take it higher. You know, in ammonia, the quantity of which one is more? Nitrogen is more or hydrogen is more? Hydrogen is more, 3 parts. You can see here in the formula itself. That's why you have to take hydrogen in a higher ratio. Now another question they ask, what are the sources of nitrogen and hydrogen used for this reaction? Where do we collect them and use them over here for this reaction? The answer is nitrogen used over here. The source of nitrogen is the fractional distillation of liquid air. Liquid air. Source is liquid air. What is liquid air? Air we are liquefying. We are changing it to liquid by cooling. Now the liquid we have to heat. In the air, whichever gases in the liquid form boil faster, they will boil. Whereas nitrogen do not boil. Its boiling point is very, very high, so it will remain. So that nitrogen we are using here. The full details they will not ask, but just have an idea only. What is the source of hydrogen used here in this reaction? Answer is water gas by Bosch process, BOSCH. By Bosch process, we get water gas and that gives us hydrogen. Even the source of this hydrogen is LPG, natural gas. LPG cylinders are also the source of this hydrogen. So that hydrogen we are using here for this reaction. What is the catalyst used here in this reaction? The catalyst is iron. Fe, yeah, iron catalyzes this reaction, but iron we take in the form of fine dust, or we say finely divided iron used, finely divided. Though I think this point I missed out in the notes, but you can write down yourself extra and try to understand it also out there. Okay, there is a reason why we take iron in the finely divided form or in the fine dust in powder form. Why we take it and use? Because iron in powder form, when we sprinkle, it will cover a larger surface and will speed up the reactions over a larger surface and will get a greater quantity of ammonia form. By chance, suppose we are having an iron not in the form of powder, solid iron. We are keeping some here, so if I keep it here, it will cover only a small area, no? But we are having dust, powder, sprinkle, it will go all around. So surface covered by the catalyst is large. Everywhere the speed of the reactions will be high and will get a greater quantity of ammonia formed. That's why it is always taken in the form of fine dust or fine powder. Okay. This is molybdenum, capital MO. Molybdenum acts as a promoter. Okay. What is a promoter? We see a promoter is a substance which increases the efficiency of catalyst but without reacting with it. Catalyst increases the speed of reaction, but the catalyst may be poisoned sometimes, may not function that properly. There may be a chance of impurity present in it, and due to impurity it gets poisoned. We use the term poisoned. It gets poisoned, it does not function properly. There we have to use molybdenum as a promoter, because promoter will be making the catalyst free from impurities. Now there is no impurity, so it will act properly, it becomes efficient now. So it increases the efficiency of catalyst. That is the role of promoter. And we have only two promoters to be used in your syllabus. One promoter is molybdenum, and the second promoter will come in contact process to manufacture napkins. There I will tell you which promoter we use over there. We don't use molybdenum. Molybdenum we use only in this case. I hope it is clear. Now the another one. What is the temperature of the reactions of the Haber's process? 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. And what is the value of pressure? This is the value of pressure, 200 to 900 atmosphere. Now the question is, this is what kind of reaction? This is reversible and exothermic reaction. Keep in mind, whenever we have exothermic reactions, the heating is done only initially, and after some time we have to stop heating. Why we need to stop heating? Because the reaction itself will generate heat, and this heat will maintain the necessary temperature. Whatever temperature is required for the reaction, that will be maintained by the exothermic reaction, by this heat. So question may come, why the catalyst platinum is only initially heated? Because the reaction itself is exothermic. Okay. Now for any reversible reaction, forward reactions is supported or favored by low temperature and high pressure. So we should use low temperature for the greater quantity of ammonia to be formed, but practically at a very low temperature the speed of reaction becomes very low and the yield of ammonia is very low. Reaction speed will be very slow and we will not get enough ammonia. That's why we have to maintain an optimum temperature of 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. The meaning of optimum is the maximum output giving. At this temperature, this is the most suitable temperature to get ammonia in the largest quantity. That's why it is called optimum. Now, high pressure also favors the forward reaction, high pressure, but we do not maintain very high pressure. The reason is because at a very high pressure, there is a chance of explosion in the pipes, manufacturing units. That high pressure, the pipes cannot withstand, which is through which the ammonia is passed in the industries and all. So they may not withstand at high pressure. There is a chance of explosion. They may burst. So that's why a very high pressure is also not advised or not suitable over there. Understood? Now the next point. The product of Haber's process is ammonia. Gas, actually, it is a gas. But we collect it in liquid form. Remember it, that is also important. The product of Haber's process is ammonia gas, but in what form, physical form is it collected? It is collected in the liquid form. Remember it. Why liquid form? What is the reason behind storing in the liquid form? The main reason is that the ammonia gas formed in the Haber's process contains unreacted nitrogen and hydrogen also. Because we are supplying nitrogen and hydrogen in a large quantity, it is not necessary that all nitrogen and all hydrogens will combine together to form ammonia. Some of them will remain unreacted. They do not combine. So they are also present. That means this gas is present along with the nitrogen and hydrogen. That means the product is in the gaseous form is a mixture of three gases. One NH3 and the two other unreacted or uncombined. They are also present. And when we change in liquid form, we make sure that the ammonia is separated from the uncombined nitrogen and hydrogen. Ammonia is separated. How? Because out of the three gases, ammonia is most easily liquefiable. Ammonia liquefies most easily. When you cool it, it is ammonia gas that will change to liquid. Whereas nitrogen and hydrogen, they do not liquefy easily. So they remain in the form of gas and that means they are separated. So this is the reason why the product of Haber process, that is ammonia, is stored and collected in the liquid form to separate it from the uncombined or unreacted nitrogen and hydrogen gas. Hope it is clear. And another advantage of keeping in the liquid form is that we can make it transportable and we can prevent its leakage. You can pack in cylinder and transport it safely. But in the gaseous form, it is very difficult to. How can you carry gases from one place to another place? Can you carry? There is a leakage. It will be moving in all directions. There. How can you control the leakage? You cannot. So if it is a liquid form, the best is you can pack in a closed container and then carry it, transport it. So that is another advantage of liquid form. Although ammonia can be separated from the uncombined nitrogen hydrogen by the method of liquefaction also. Whatever products are there, one method is liquefaction, other method is dissolving in water. That is second method. Two methods are there to separate ammonia. One is liquefaction and other one is dissolving in water. Liquefaction, I already told you that ammonia is easily liquefiable. Question later, which property of ammonia enables it to be separated from the uncombined nitrogen and hydrogen? We say the property of ammonia is that it is most easily liquefiable. That's why we can easily liquefy, whereas N2 and H2 are difficult to liquefy. They do not liquefy easily. And there is one more method you can suggest to separate ammonia, that is by the method of dissolution in water. We can dissolve the entire mixture in water. It is ammonia which is highly soluble in water to dissolve, whereas nitrogen and hydrogen remains undissolved. They are insoluble, so they will be separated. Ammonia is separated from the uncombined these two. So there are two methods you can suggest. I think today we have done till Haber's process.